In a valley nestled between ancient mountains, where time seemed to flow as gently as the river that cut through its heart, lived a young tortoise named Talo. Unlike others of his kind who embraced their natural slowness, Talo resented his shell, which felt like a prison of patience. Every morning, he would watch the rabbits dart across the meadows, the birds soar effortlessly through the sky, and even the fish glide swiftly through the clear waters. With each passing day, a heaviness grew in his heart, not from his shell, but from the weight of comparison. "Why must I be so slow?" he would whisper to himself as he trudged along the riverbank, each step deliberate and measured. "Everyone else reaches their destination, while I'm barely beginning my journey." The sunlight filtered through the canopy above, casting dappled shadows that seemed to race ahead of him, mocking his pace. Even the shadows moved faster than he did. The sound of laughter from the other animals echoed through the valley, a constant reminder of all he was missing by being perpetually behind. One particularly golden afternoon, the valley was abuzz with excitement. Word had spread about the Great Valley Gathering, an annual celebration where animals from all corners would come together to share stories, food, and wisdom. But most exciting of all was the announcement of the Journey Challenge, a race across the valley, through the forest, up the mountain, and back again. "The first to return will be honored as the Valley Champion," announced Eagle, who soared overhead, his voice carrying to every corner of the land. Without hesitation, Rabbit stepped forward, his confidence evident in his bouncing stride. Fox joined too, her clever eyes already calculating the shortest route. Deer, with her graceful leaps, would surely be a contender. And then there were the birds, who could simply fly over obstacles. Talo watched from the edge of the gathering, his heart sinking deeper with each new entry. Even if he started now, days before the race, he'd never make it in time. Yet something stirred within him, not hope, but perhaps determination. Maybe this was his chance to prove that even the slowest could participate. When he approached Eagle to enter, laughter rippled through the crowd. "Talo, be reasonable," said Rabbit, not unkindly. "The journey would take you weeks. The celebration will be long over." "The race is open to all," Eagle declared, silencing the murmurs. "Talo may enter if he wishes." That night, as stars illuminated the valley with their gentle glow, Talo couldn't sleep. He had committed to something impossible. Doubt crept into his thoughts like the evening mist rising from the river. "I was foolish," he muttered, retreating into his shell as if it could hide him from his decision. As dawn broke the next day, anxiety gnawed at him. The race would begin at midday, and already he felt behind. He began his preparations earlier than anyone else, knowing he needed every advantage time could offer. When he reached the starting line, the other animals were stretching, boasting, or strategizing. No one noticed Talo at first until Rabbit spotted him. "You really came," Rabbit said, genuine surprise in his voice. "That's admirable, I suppose." The crowd gathered, the excitement palpable in the air. Eagle soared above, then descended to a branch overlooking the starting point. "The journey is long and filled with challenges," Eagle announced. "You will face the dense forest, cross the Whisper River, climb the Echo Mountain, and return here. The first to complete this circle will be our champion." Eagle's wing rose, then fell, and the race began. In an explosion of movement, the animals surged forward. Rabbit bounded ahead, quickly taking the lead. Fox darted between trees with calculated precision. Deer leapt gracefully over obstacles. Birds soared overhead. And Talo took his first measured step, then another, and another. Within minutes, the others had disappeared from sight, their excited calls fading into the distance. Talo was alone on the path, the dust still settling from the others' hasty departure. "One step at a time," he told himself, fighting the despair that threatened to overwhelm him. "That's all I can do." Hours passed. The sun climbed higher, then began its descent. Tilo had barely reached the edge of the dense forest when dusk approached. The shadows lengthened, and with them, his doubts stretched further. I could turn back, he thought. No one would blame me. Just as he considered retreat, he noticed an ancient oak tree at the forest's edge. Nestled in its massive roots was a figure he'd heard stories about but never met. Old Owl, the keeper of forest wisdom. "Why does the tortoise hesitate at the threshold?" asked Owl, her eyes reflecting the last light of day. "I'm too slow," Tilo admitted. "The others are probably halfway to Echo Mountain by now." "And yet, they are not here in this moment, seeing what you see," Owl observed. "Tell me, young one, what is your hurry?" The question caught Tilo off guard. "The race. I'm already behind." "Behind according to whose timepiece?" Owl's feathers ruffled slightly. "Time is not a straight line that we all travel at the same pace. It's a river with many currents." Tello sighed, the weight of his shell seeming heavier. "But everyone else moves so quickly. They'll finish while I'm still beginning." "Come closer," Owl beckoned. "I wish to teach you something that few ever learn." Tilo approached, curious despite his dejection. "Close your eyes," Owl instructed, "and breathe with me." Tilo did as he was told, feeling somewhat foolish. "The race has already—" "Inhale slowly, feeling the air fill you completely," Owl guided. "Hold it for a moment, and then release it, even more slowly." They breathed together, once, twice, 3 times. "This is the practice of presence," Owl explained. "When we rush, we live either in the future, worrying about what hasn't happened, or in the past, regretting what we cannot change. But wisdom lives in the now." Talo opened his eyes, feeling strangely calmer. "Already begun," he said. "I can't change that." "No," Owl agreed. "But you can change how you journey." "What do you mean?" "Each step you take can be either a burden or a blessing. Each moment can be either rushed through or fully lived." Owl's voice grew gentle. "The practice is simple. Be fully where you are. Notice what others miss in their haste." "But I'll never win that way," Tello protested. "Perhaps winning looks different than you imagine," Owl suggested. "Now, I have a challenge for you. As you continue your journey, collect one beautiful thing from each section of the path. One from the forest, one from the river, one from the mountain. Not physical things to take, but experiences to remember." Talo considered this strange request. "And this will help me." "How?" "That," Owl said with a soft hoot that might have been laughter, "you will discover for yourself. Have you ever felt rushed or behind in life? Write presence in the comments if you want to remember the power of being fully where you are." As night fell completely, Owl offered Tilo shelter among the roots of the great oak. "Rest now. Begin again at dawn." The next morning, Tello awoke with the first light. Owl was nowhere to be seen, but her words echoed in his mind. With a deep breath, inhale, hold, exhale slowly. He entered the dense forest. The forest was a world unto itself. Sunlight filtered through the canopy in golden shafts. The ground was soft with moss and fallen leaves that cushioned his steps. Rather than focusing on his slow pace, Talo began to notice things: the intricate patterns of bark on the trees, the delicate structure of mushrooms growing on fallen logs. the symphony of birdsong overhead. Midway through the forest, he came upon Rabbit, who lay beneath a bush, panting heavily, one paw clearly injured. "Telo?" Rabbit seemed shocked. "You're still in the race?" "I am," Telo replied simply. "What happened to you?" "Too fast," Rabbit admitted sheepishly. "I was so focused on staying ahead that I didn't see the route. I think my ankle is sprained." Telo considered the injured rabbit. In the race of life, sometimes the fastest fall hardest. "Can you continue?" Rabbit's ears drooped. "Not today. Perhaps not for several days." Without hesitation, Telo helped position Rabbit more comfortably, gathered some healing herbs he'd noticed along the way, and fashioned a compress for the injury. "Why are you helping me?" Rabbit asked, genuinely puzzled. "I'm your competitor." "We're all traveling the same path," Telo replied, "just at different speeds." Before continuing, Telo shared Owl's breathing practice with Rabbit. "For the pain," he explained, "and for the patience you'll need while healing." As Telo resumed his journey, he felt something unexpected. Not the burden of slowness, but the richness of experience. The beautiful thing he collected from the forest wasn't something he saw, but something he felt: compassion. By the time he emerged from the forest, the sun was high in the sky of the second day. Ahead lay the Whisper River, its waters running swift and clear over smooth stones. At the riverbank, he found Fox, staring at the water with uncharacteristic indecision. "The current is stronger than it appears," Fox said when she noticed Telo. "I've tried twice to cross, and been swept downstream both times." Telo studied the river carefully. Being slow had taught him to be observant. "There," he pointed with his head. "See how the water breaks differently there? Those are stepping stones just beneath the surface." Fox looked skeptical. "How can you possibly know that? When you move slowly, you notice patterns," Telo explained. "Watch." Carefully, he entered the water, his solid weight and 4 sturdy legs giving him stability against the current. Step by step, he navigated across the submerged stones. Once across, he turned back to Fox. "Follow exactly where I went," he called. Slowly, Fox, usually so confident, followed Telo's path with uncharacteristic caution. When she reached the other side, she looked at him with new respect. "I would have missed those stones entirely," she admitted. "Thank you." "Sometimes the fastest route isn't the safest," Telo offered. "Would you like to learn a practice that helps me see more clearly?" To his surprise, Fox agreed, and he taught her Owl's breathing technique. As Fox continued ahead, at her naturally quicker pace, Telo realized what he'd collected from the river: wisdom born from careful observation. The third part of the journey, Echo Mountain, proved the most challenging. The path grew steep, rocky, and treacherous. Telo's legs ached, and his breath came in labored gasps. Several times, he paused, practicing the breathing Owl had taught him, finding his center before continuing. Halfway up the mountain, he encountered Deer, who stood motionless, paralyzed with fear, before a narrow ledge that offered the only path forward. "I can't do it," Deer whispered when she saw Telo. "It's too narrow. One misstep and—" She glanced down at the steep drop. Telo remembered his own fear at the beginning of the race, not of heights, but of failure, of never measuring up. "Fear makes everything seem more dangerous than it is," he said gently. "Easy for you to say," Deer replied. "You're closer to the ground with 4 sturdy legs. I'm all height and spindly limbs." "Then perhaps we go together," Telo suggested. "I'll go first. Watch where I place my feet. Go exactly there. And before we start, let me teach you something that might help." Once again, he shared Owl's breathing practice. Together, they breathed. Inhale, hold, exhale slowly, until Deer's trembling subsided. The ledge crossing was slow and precarious. Telo tested each step before committing his weight. Deer followed precisely, her natural grace returning as her fear receded. When they reached the other side, Deer touched her nose to his shell in gratitude. "I would still be frozen there if not for you," she said. "We all freeze sometimes," Telo replied. "The trick is to thaw deliberately." As Deer bounded ahead with renewed confidence, Telo realized what he'd collected from the mountain. Courage to face obstacles, one step at a time. The summit of Echo Mountain offered a breathtaking view of the entire valley. Telo stood there, taking it all in. The dense forest, now a carpet of green below. The Whisper River, a silver ribbon cutting through. And in the distance, the gathering place where the race had begun. He was halfway done, and already 3 days had passed. The others would surely have finished by now. The celebration might even be over. And yet, as he began his descent, he felt no despair. Each step was its own victory. Each moment held its own meaning. The journey back was no less challenging, but somehow lighter. He encountered no other racers, all either ahead or having given up. But he wasn't lonely. The practice of presence filled each step with purpose. On the 7th day, as the sun began its descent toward the horizon, Telo emerged from the forest and saw the gathering place in the distance. To his surprise, a crowd had assembled, as if waiting. When Eagle spotted him, a call went up. Animals gathered, creating a path for him. Confused, Telo continued his steady pace until he crossed what must be the finish line. "Our champion returns," Eagle announced, spreading his magnificent wings. Telo looked around, bewildered. "But I'm last. The others finished days ago." A strange hush fell over the crowd. Eagle descended to stand before him. "Telo," said Eagle solemnly, "you are not last. You are first." "That's impossible." "And yet, it is true," Eagle continued. "Rabbit never finished due to his injury. Fox was swept downstream and had to take a much longer route around. Deer made it to the summit, but lost her way coming down the other side. Birds were blown off course by unexpected winds. You, Telo, are the only one who completed the entire journey as prescribed." Murmurs of agreement spread through the crowd. Then, to his astonishment, Rabbit hopped forward, his paw healed. "Telo taught me patience," Rabbit announced, "and the herbs he gathered eased my pain." Fox stepped forward next. "He showed me how to see what was hidden beneath the surface. He taught me to face my fears one breath at a time," Deer added. One by one, others came forward. Animals Telo had encountered, helped, or simply exchanged words with along the way. Each had a story of how his slow, deliberate journey had somehow illuminated their own. As the stars began to appear in the twilight sky, Old Owl descended from nowhere, landing on a branch above the gathering. "The true champion," Owl declared, "is not the swiftest, but the one who journeys well. Telo, what did you collect on your path?" Before the entire gathering, Telo shared what he had learned: compassion in the forest, wisdom at the river, courage on the mountain. "And now," Owl asked, "what will you give back?" Telo looked at the faces around him, many now familiar, others still strangers. "The practice of presence," he said simply. "The knowledge that being slow doesn't mean being behind. It means being fully where you are, noticing what others miss in their haste." That night, under a canopy of stars, the animals of the valley gathered not to crown a racing champion, but to learn the tortoise's way. Telo taught them all to breathe. Inhale, hold, exhale slowly, and to walk the path of presence. Years passed. The Great Valley Gathering became not a race, but a pilgrimage, a mindful journey where the path itself was the destination. And at the heart of it all was Telo, no longer the tortoise who resented his pace, but the guide who had discovered its gift. For in the end, he had learned the truth that would echo through the valley for generations to come. The hurried mind sees only the destination and misses the journey. The patient heart finds treasures in every step, arriving exactly when it should. Neither early nor late, but precisely on time. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to Storybox Sage and share it with someone who feels they're falling behind. Remember, your journey unfolds at exactly the right pace, if you have the wisdom to embrace it.